Hello, welcome to March 16th, 2022. I'm Kurt, and this is my daily good life meditation, something that I do every morning pretty soon after I wake up, clean up a little bit, and then I sit down to think about my life objectives and principles, and to see how I'm doing applying these to the opportunities and challenges of the day, namely yesterday. Today is simply a forecast. I'll do that at the end. I've been doing this since late 2018, so it's become a part and parcel of my life. I do it lately here. I used to do it in the car when I was commuting, when I had a car, and before I gave that to my daughter, and then I would do it on my motorcycle when I was riding my motorcycle. But it's pretty much something then that I do, and now I do it with you. Let's do this. First, let's review yesterday and today. I slept pretty good last night. I was up maybe 15 minutes before the alarm went off. I mean, I did get up, did an old man visit to the facilities in the middle of the night, but that's not part of the insomnia. So I feel good because I only got up for a short while, and actually I fell right back to sleep. Because with daylight savings time, Venus has moved itself an hour. Well, it hasn't moved itself, but it's positioned an hour prior to or an hour ahead of where it used to. That doesn't make sense. Lower in the sky. So just when Venus comes over the horizon, about that far, I know the alarm will go off. It used to be before daylight savings time, it was about that far. It moves pretty fast, actually. Well, it's the Earth that's moving, right? So, with that, I'm feeling better this morning. I don't know if you could see, if you could pick up on it yesterday, but I was groggy, and that's because allergies. And what I did was I made use of one of my midnight pit stops to take my allergy medicine. And so that seems to have cleared things up a little bit. I'm ready for the day. All I need is to walk the dogs, or some coffee and some food, and I'm at it. As for yesterday, really solid day of work. Man, I feel so good when I do a good day's work. I must have had 8 or 9 meetings yesterday. Hard meetings too. I mean, like real, involved things. At this point in my career, I don't seem to be blessed or cursed with meetings anymore where I get to simply be a participant. I seem to be always the one that's leading the meetings. It's not because I'm important, it's because that's the nature of my job as a project manager, to be the locus and the focus of organization and the conductor. So I keep the rhythm in the chorus going. Kettle drums. So yesterday went so well. So well, in fact, that it feels like, if this was a ship crossing an ocean, or we're successfully boarded, loaded, pushed away from the dock, and now we are out of the harbor as of yesterday, and we are steaming out to sea. Clear shot all the way across the Atlantic. Liverpool, here we come. What's that say on the side? Titanic? Well, that doesn't make sense. It would be going the other way. So, here, let's do the good life. Wow, it's a real thing to strive to have my affairs in order, to be positioned for departure in terms of records and finances and I love yous and life's work, and to make sure that I'm not frittering these few days and weeks and hours and hopefully months and years that I have left, but making good use of them. Like Dr. Johnson, pressing ahead despite the pain and the little discomforts, and sometimes the major discomforts. What an effort he made of his life, despite his pain. and I hardly have any pain. What's my excuse? To develop, keep, and catalog, and maintain a good set of guideposts to live by, objectives and principles, and to maintain these, as I've said 3 times now. That's what this daily activity is the maintenance. I could do a better job. I could think about them more deeply. To react well to whatever happens, and to do well wherever I can, and to be aware of and abide my reasonable limits, and to pursue reasonable objectives, dreams, maybe even some that are not so reasonable, just because one life to live. And to not rush anything, but to carefully pace my words and pace my time and pace my life. And to be fighting at all times against what I think is true and what others tell me is true, until that honesty, objectivity, skepticism, and above all, reason be my arbiter of what is true. Only being slightly allowing of my gut feelings to press the way. There is something to that, but it shouldn't be the leader, it shouldn't be the general. Reason must be the admiral. To remember that there's nothing in me that will last forever besides my atoms. I wonder about even them. And that ultimately, each of us is quite alone. We can hold the hands of our loved ones as we die, but we go down into the deep by ourselves. And no one can come with us, even after they go too. They go into their own deep. And it's a dissolving deep, where not even what went into the deep will remain. And to keep in mind that my ideas of right and wrong are malleable to my experience, and the arguments and persuasions of others. Likewise, do I have that seeming power? So I have to keep in mind that right and wrong need to be maintained, or concepts of right and wrong need to be maintained and conversed and decided upon and held at arm's length at all times, tentatively held. And to have some purpose in my life, which is to be a good husband and father, be a good person among my community, and to pursue whatever mission I'm engaged in, which for me at this point in my life is the sharing of my book, goingalone.org. No, it's not. That's the website, Going Alone, but available on goingalone.org and on Amazon too. I recommend the hardbound edition. It's the nicest for sure, and only a few bucks more. If you buy it on goingalone.org, I'll sign it and I'll draw a picture on the inside for you before I ship it. And to again remember that all is bits and pieces, atoms and molecules and compounds, and everything that comes together falls to pieces eventually. Even black holes. And to keep in mind that free will seems free, but I don't think it is. I think the universe has far too much to say in our choices than we let on. And that maturity is a state that is arrived at when we have the benefit of our experience and the strength of our conviction and force of, dare I say, will. I'm a social person. So are you. We are a social species. We need one another. And that I'll be very careful about what I say and the words that I use and how I compose my thoughts and share them out, either in fact or with my voice or via email or other means, through my books, whatever. Excuse me. And to be measured in my activities, my living, my usage of everything, my consumption. To realize that it takes restraint and a little bit of suffering to be temperate. And that a simple life is the life that I'm after. And that I must always take care to recognize what is outside of my control and to apply my sense of connection accordingly. And to remember that there are terrible things happening all over the place to people and animals, and it's just a horror show out there. And that's something that I have to bear and try to participate in the relief of to the best of my ability. And to not give in to the upset that may overtake me at times and not spill it out into the world and throw it upon everyone else's little shore, the place where they're stuck, their Anchorhold. And likewise, when I find or encounter others who are doing that, to not lap it up myself and make myself sick in the process, but offer sympathy and a helping hand where I can. And to beware the efforts of distraction so that I try to hide from myself the fact that, the seeming fact that we're alone in the universe, that God is either non-existent or very well hidden. And to be content where I am, who I am, and what I'm doing, while all the while making efforts to improve my lot and the lot of others. And to be brave to step on the path of new life, armed with consideration and nudged by my gut instinct, cautiously, tentatively, recognizing that instinct can often be quite wrong, but willing to accept that risk for the sake of adding new chapters to my life. To pursue not just the apparent challenges of life, of education and job, turning into a career, family and home, saving for retirement, but also to pursue the deep risk of finding myself, so to speak, and doing something with that discovery. And to never lie, unless it's in the pursuit of virtue in some way. I mean, I imagine there are those scenarios where you could find a good lie, maybe a white lie as they say, but not even that. A lie that pursues justice. You know, where's Anne Frank? I don't know. She's down in the basement. You get the meaning. I think I do too. To not be gullible. To recognize faith as gullibility. To recognize hope as empty, void of forward motion. To recognize superstition as nonsense, potentially nonsense, has the flavor of nonsense. Authority as weakness, the acceptance of authority at least. Dogma as laziness, the unwillingness to do the hard work ourselves. And gossip as a deadly sin. and to remember that there is nothing after life. There's no good reason at all to believe that we have a soul, or that we survive, or that we'll see our loved ones again after we're dead, and that we'll have a happy reunion, or a chance to make up, or a chance to see justice executed, delivered after the fact. This life seems to be all we get. There's really no reason to think otherwise. And I won't fool myself into believing that. I'll be interestingly surprised if that is the case, and I might be unpleasantly surprised, perhaps, depending on if there is an afterlife, and I'm quite wrong. But I will operate as if there is not the case, because there's no reason to think otherwise. At least no good reason. And I will have and continue to develop something to call my story, an adventure of sorts, a great life adventure. And when the time comes that the muse whispers in my ear and I have something to say, I'll write that down, or I'll make a video, or I'll make a drawing, or I'll turn to my loved ones and I'll say, I love you, or muzz, 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 whatever it is that my little words are saying. And to strive for the ambition that I'm after, but accepting and realizing that I usually miss it by some degree. Every so often I hit a bullseye, but that's the exception, not the rule. And I'll be ready, stand up straight, ready to climb up, up, up. And ready to enjoy the vista from whatever heights I can achieve. To keep my principles close, to use them like tools as I maneuver and engage in the arena of life. To recognize that nothing sometimes is plenty, and that it's fine to have a good time, to enjoy life, to have fun. There's my good life creed. Now, for the coming day, I only have like 3 or 4 meetings today. I have a feeling that it's the type of day that will smuggle all my time away, although I'm thinking that I'm going to have some expanses of time, so I'm not even going to fool myself about that contract. But I will try to get my everything in order for my one project's meeting, because I have some things that I think we can close. And then for the big project, I'm going to lock in the schedule, because we finally got everyone's in agreement about the schedule. I had forgotten to buffer it with some time off around the holidays, but I added that in. Lock in the schedule. Maybe we can lock in our team meetings. We have a big meeting in mid-month in April for our first team. So I'll see if I can lock that in, get that on the folks' books while it's still early. Plenty of time for them to keep it on the schedule. Yeah, I'll work. That's our top priority for me today. And then all the other things that I have to do, which I told you, Miko, yesterday while we were walking the dogs in the afternoon, that my honeymoon time of this job is over. I am in the full thick of it now, which is where I like to be, right in the middle. Even though I may stress out and complain, not to you, I'll complain. That's what a spouse is for. we hear one another's deepest woes. But despite that, I like living like this. It's a good life. Not an easy life, but a good life. And with that, I wish you all the best. Be safe, but not too safe.